Hi 703, this is the key for the exam that you took on Friday. It's your homework this week since the grades weren't so good. So I'm going to go through each one of the problems and let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. Question number 1, it draws a graph and it just has this point N floating out here in space. The question says line KN represents our proportional relationship. Now we don't know where K is, but we know that K could be any place along this line. And again, we know it's proportional. It would have to go through the 0. So really what it's asking is what point could possibly be on that line. You have two strategies. Strategy 1, you can check any K for some pair y equals K over X. So if I do the calculations, y divided by K for the point 12 over 18 is equal to 0.66 repeating. That is my K. So any pair of X and Y, when I divide them, has got to equal 0.66 because they have to have the same constant. So I can then go down to my points here, and I can check by dividing each one which one has a K of 0.66. So the first one's easy to get rid of because 0 over 6 is obviously 0 and not 0.66. 3 over 2, well 3 over 2 is 1 1/2, so that's not going to be it. 1.5 over 0, once again, I cannot divide by 0. So even by process of elimination, I could find that my accurate point, the answer is D, 7.5 and 5, and indeed if I add them together, my K is equal to 0.66 repeating. Question number 2. A recycling plant processes an average of 1/3 of a ton of glass each minute. And approximately what rate does the recycling process in per day? So I take my 1/3 ton, I multiply it by 60, and that gives me the tons per hour because there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So 1/3 times 60 gives me the tons per hour. I have 20 tons per hour. I have 24 hours per day, so I take the tons per hour, I multiply the hours per day, and I get 480, which is answer choice C. Switching over to the second page, problem number 3. I see that Maya uses these amounts of blue and orange fabric, and it tells me it's a proportional relationship, so it goes through the origin. So really what it wants to know is which could be a possible combination of blue to orange. So I can pick any point on this line, and the one that I pick is actually the one which is easiest to spot because it's right on a point here and it's on a point here. So remember that my y is equal to, my k is equal to my y divided by my x. And in this particular case, my y is 0.3, my x is 0.7. If I do the divisions, my 10s cancel out, and the correct answer is C. Y, or the constant, or k, the constant, is equal to 3 divided by 7. And again, you can find that visually just by finding the one point on your graph, which is right on top of a cross of the x and the y. Question number 4. The circus admission. The graph shows on the left-hand side the cost on the y-axis, and it shows the number of people here on the x-axis. And it wants to know the total cost of the commission. The question is, what point on the graph represents the unit rate? And since we're talking about unit, the unit has to be 1. So I'm going to look over here and see that when x is 1, y is 15. So when I divide 15 over y, that's my unit rate, or k. And again, the easiest way to see this is simply find out what your x is and what x corresponds to on the line. X corresponds to 15, and that's my correct answer. When x is 1, y is 15. The pair is 1, 15. Or admission is $15 per person. Moving on, we're on question number 5. Let's make sure you can see it. A crew of workers paved on the highway 2/15 in 20 minutes. So this is the work, and this is the time. I set up a proportion, work to time, 2/15 in 20 minutes. I want to know how much they can work, or what x, in 60 minutes. So I know that I can cross multiply, and my work looks something like this. 60 over 1 times 2 over 15. If I multiply that straight out, I get 120 over 15, which is equal to 8/20 is equal to 20x. I divide both sides, equal to 8 equals 20x. I divide both sides by 20, and my 20s cancel out. I'm left with 8 over 20, which reduces to 2 over 5, and I look and find that as correct answer C. There's an intuitive way that you can do it, which means in 60 minutes, 60 divided by 20 is 3. There are 3 20 minutes in 60, so I could also just multiply 3 by 2/15, and I will get the same rate. I'll get 2/5 when I cancel it out. Either way works, whatever works for you. Question number 6. Last week, Lynn spent $18 on 4 games. So that meant that he spent $4.50 per each game. He then spent 27 on 6 games, or $4.50 per game. And that's all this question. It looks complicated. It just wants to know the rate per game. The correct answer choice is C. Number 7. Bananas cost 45 cents per pound. What equation is used to find cost, the total cost, of p pounds of bananas? So if I take the ratio of, or if I just take the price, 45 cents, I multiply it by the number that I buy, I get the total cost of C. The correct answer is A. C equals 0.45 times P. Question number 8. Miss Graves gave her class 12 minutes to read. Carrie read 5 1/2 pages in that time, in the 12 minutes. At what rate in pages per hour did Carrie read? So she read 5 1/2 in 12 minutes. I want to know how much she read in 60 minutes. So once again, I'm going to set up a proportion. 11 halves, which is 2 times 5 is 10 plus 1 is 11. She read 11 halves pages in 12 minutes. I want to know how much she reads. I want to look for x in 60 minutes. Once I have my proportions set up, I can then cross multiply. When I cross multiply, I get 660 divided by 2 equals 12x. I then divide 660 by 2, I get 330. Divide both sides by 12, and x is going to be equal to 27.5 pages on my calculator, which is equal to 27 1/2 pages. The correct answer is answer choice C. All right, moving along, we have these cucumbers. And the cucumbers, I'm told, are proportional. So if they're proportional, that means if I divide my y by my x, I'll get the same rate every time. And for something like this, you have to do trial and error. You actually have to go through each one of the prices and find out which one has a constant k. So let's try that. So in the first stand, I see that I have my y is 250, my x is 5. I divide them. I get 50 cents for the first pair. The second one, $4 divided by 10, well, that's 40 cents. So absolutely not. I can cross that one off. It doesn't work because the second price is not the same as the first price. So I move over to Betty Stand. Same procedure. I'm going to take my Y divided by my X. $2 divided by 5 cucumbers gives me 40 cents. The second one, $4 divided by 10 is 40 cents. $6 divided by 15 is 40 cents. And I'm going to try the very last one. 8 divided by 20 is also 40 cents. So this is my correct answer. They all have the constant rate of 0.4, and the correct answer choice is C. You can check these out. Check them out. And just make sure they're not a possible answer, but pretty much you'll find that they are not constant and are not the correct answer. Question number 10. The cost of oranges in a grocery is directly proportional to the number of oranges purchased. So since Jerry paid $2.52 for 6, I'm going to do a unit price. Remember, it's always my price divided by my quantity to find my unit price. So I take $2.52, I divide it by 6 on my calculator, I get 42 cents per orange, which sounds about right. And then I look at my answer choices to find which equation represents that relationship. Well, equation number 1, 0.42, that's the cents, times the N, which is the number of oranges, gives me the total price. And my correct answer is A. The other answer choices don't actually make sense, so A is the only possible one. Moving on to question number 11. This was the first short answer that you had to do. And you look at the graph and you see pretty clearly I have a line that starts someplace up in the middle here. This is tank A. So I know right off the bat, because it intersects the y-axis up here, line A is not proportional. Not proportional. I look at line B, and there it is intersecting the y-axis. It comes right up here, tank B. So line B is proportional. And I need to say something like that in my short answer. Because it is proportional, it says, if the line is proportional, identify the unit rate. So the unit rate, once again, I'm going to use X is 1. I start here, and I move over here, and I can see that the ordered pair, when X is 1, Y is 300. And I have to answer that it's 300 gallons per minute. So to get all 3 possible points for this question, you needed to say that tank B passes through the origin, so it is proportional. Tank A does not, so it is not proportional. And then I also had to give the unit rate of 300 gallons per minute. Again, this was a 3-point question. You had to get all 3 of those right to get all 3 points. The very last question on the test. A convenience store sells 2 brands of orange juice. Brand A, and again, I'm going to mind my P's and Q's and simply set up ratios. So for my first one, brand A is $1.28 for 8 ounces. The price is 16 cents. Brand B is $1.68, and you get 12 ounces. That is 14 cents. So I can see that brand A is 0.02 cents or 2 cents more expensive. They were looking for the difference. So it's 2 cents more expensive. This was a 2-point question. You had to get the right answer, and you also had to explain how you got the right answer. Anyway, please use this guide. This will help you with your homework this week. You must answer, fill out the blanks for each question that you missed. Each question. If you have any questions, please see me at the end of class.